A while ago now, we met the Pokemon Dingladius, and I talked about how it would train Pokemon in secret to power them up when it deemed the Pokemon too weak. And not to go too far into the dingo and baby thing, you know what I'm talking about. Dingladius has trained and changed some baby Pokemon to change their forms to newer star and regional forms. And because of that, their new steely hard bodies and willingness to fight, they now even evolve into different forms. These forms could be found all over Astara, and not just in the desert where Dingladius roams. So let's get started with our sweet little eggy Pokemon Togepi, but now they're rougher and ready to tumble. I love Togepi and its line, they're weird little funky egg creatures, then angels and an angel aeroplane. They occupy the same space in my head as Digitamamon. But that's because they're both eggs and the two toys I had of them and Togepi were weighted to perfectly spin on their heads. This Togepi takes no prisoners, its egg is harder and so it uses it as not only armor but as its weapon. It's not too different from regular Togepi, just more of a fighter. You can totally see it doing sick flips and slashing at opponents during battles like Yoda in that one scene. I wanted it to be a sun-baked egg, but the colour I started with felt more like a chocolate egg, and as someone who doesn't eat eggs normally, I clearly don't know what colour eggs can be. So instead I decided to colour a nice yellow, sunny side up eggs and all that. This is a heroic but powerful fighter, and its evolution is no different. Togepi, the spiked ball Pokemon, a steel type, the Staran form. It's said that the Staran Togepi gained this form from being trained by a Dingladius elder. Their shells grew hard and would use them as both a defensive and offensive option. Togepi in this form have wildly different dispositions, tending to be more of a loner and less affectionate than a usual Togepi. While this leads many to choose not to train this Pokemon, people who do find a stalwart Pokemon that will not back down from a fight. It fights with a vicious honor and never fights dirty. When an Astaran Togepi does a truly heroic act, it will undergo evolution. Astaran Togepi's abilities are Shell Armor and Justified. For Togepi's evolution to Gyro, I wanted to Sonic the Hedgehogify Togetic. I wanted it to feel like an almost superhero with the egg sitting over its face like a hero mask, and it's even got a Sonic pose. Its body is hardened and even has spikes on its hands for some bare-knuckle brawling. Because this is the final form of it as it is in a free stager, I wanted it to feel a bit more complete than Togetic, so the longer stance helps make it feel a bit more line complete. And I continued the trend of yellow skin colour, sunny side up disposition as well as an almost clay coloured egg helmet to show that new ground typing that it gets, and the fun opposite of the flying type it once had. Toguro, the heroic Pokemon, a Steel and Ground type, evolves from Togepi after avenging fainted allies 5 times. Toguro roamed the Astara region looking to save people and Pokemon in peril. It will jump straight into action with no heed for its own safety. Toguro's spikes on their head, knuckles and feet are hard as diamond and easily break boulders with swift attacks. If Toguro's hardened helmet breaks, it will create a replacement one using rock and clay. Toguro is said to be able to find the hardest clay in secret, and many sculptors will try to follow them in secret to find the source. TV shows about a cartoon Toguro are especially popular in Astara. Toguro's abilities are Shell Armor and Justified. Smoochum has always been a problem design. I mean, Jinx is worse, but Smoochum is just kind of gross. It's a weird kissy kid. And I really just want to kick it, just launch it out on a football field. My version of Smoochum combines more dancing, a meteor hammer, and some Melia Rage or Twin Tail hair weapons. I know it's a weird combo, but keep with me here. It keeps a similar Smoochum shape of, I guess, that baby Pokemon style, but makes him more aggressive and combat worthy. Obviously more of a physical than special attacker. I didn't like the colours much at first, all of the colours were too bright, so I changed the body and arms to a darker colour to help make the values contrast a bit more, and thicken the outlines of the eyes, just to make it pop a bit more. Smoochum, the Kiss Pokemon, a Steel type, a Starin form. It's said that the Starin Smoochum gained this form from being trained by Dingladi's Elder. Instead of being quite vain and using psychic energy, Smoochum uses steel-hard strands of hair to battle. By utilizing advanced strands of hair on their head, Smoochum can extend 2 ribbons of hair out like a spear. Although not sharp on the sides, the tips of these strands can unleash deadly piercing attacks. Smoochum will even use these strands of hair to hold objects, and have seen in recent times their hands start to lose much of its dexterity, but it uses its strength to bully Pokemon into doing its bidding instead. This form of Smoochum's abilities are Iron Fist and Defiant. Leaning harder into the Twin Tail vibes, Rinks plays up the big fist on hair, turning them into giant metal spheres on the ends. This evolution is a completely different shape to Jynx and honestly moves as far away from Jynx as possible. It keeps the Ice type and plays on a sort of skating combat idea with a winter-themed outfit-like design. Even though we don't really have much snow here, there's a special icy place in the Astara for old Rinks. And now Mr. Rhyme has a friend for Gen 1 Psychic type turned Icy. Rinks, the Iron Hair Pokemon, a Steel and Ice type, evolves from Smoochum at level 35 while knowing at least 2 punching moves. Rinks has a cold and calculating demeanor that perfectly exemplifies how it acts in battle as well, freezing the battlefield and ice skating around their opponents, unleashing attacks from their malleable hair tip with ice-cold iron-like spheres. Due to the sheer durability of their hair, Rinks will throw them out at attacks to block them, allowing it to constantly keep momentum during a fight. Rinks is considered quite popular in the fashion industry, inspiring many clothing lines in Astara. Rinks' abilities are Iron Fist and Slush Rush. Finally, we go to our good old pal Magby. My idea was a combo of a little bit thorny devil and iguana thanks to their slightly toxic mouths. We have a bit of a poisonous side to Magby and its Evo, as well as adding a splash of Oni. The original design for Magby was alright, but it felt a little too awkward and, more so than that, not Magby enough. I'd keep the general idea the same and colours as well, but I'd eventually get rid of the big club tails as well. The redesign changed it a bit by introducing more steel elements, looking a bit like armour, and just making it look a little more Magby in shape, even making the spikes move more to the place where Magby's head bubbles are too. Adding a bit of poisonous glows to the tips helped as well. Magby, the live coal Pokemon, a Steel type, a Starin form. It's said that a Starin Magby gained this form from being trained by Dingladi's Elder. Where Jotoni and Magby had hot fire, this form of Magby secretes a mildly corrosive poison from their horns. Magby is a dastardly Pokemon that cares not for others, usually polluting rivers where it drinks, and preying on Pokemon that get sick from drinking it. Some Magby even have the ability to hunt Togepi and Smoochum in Astara. It has an iron-hard underbelly it can use as a shield if required, but its back isn't so protected. Many trainers looking to catch Magby will use this information to easily ambush Magby. This form of Magby's abilities are Poison Point and Corrosion. Magby's evolution, Maggressive, I also reworked. The idea was this ball-like Pokemon with massive hands resembling a sort of kimono-esque sleeve, and of course keeping that armoured samurai Oni and iguana thorny devil inspo, but the power and general feel of the initial design didn't feel quite right. In the redesign, I balanced the proportions a little more and gave it a more Pokemon face. The original felt like it was just spacing out way too much. Well, I wanted this one to feel a little more Toxicroak in its dastardly looks. In the end, I like that this one also has that kind of ambiguity that Magmar itself has in terms of its actual creature. Maggressive, the toxic spike Pokemon, a steel and poison type. Maggressive is found around the deserts of Astara, casually bullying anything that gets within its sight. If a Pokemon tries to push back, it will be met with painful toxic spikes that cause an extreme sickness. Their strange hands can slightly inflate with toxins that will then seep onto their claws. During battle, they will punch and scratch, wildly flinging this toxic substance everywhere, causing the battlefield to become a mire of poison. While Toguro is a hero in their own cartoon, Maggressive is always portrayed as a villain. However, there is no doubt on their popularity, with many action figures of Maggressive selling out. Maggressive's abilities are Poison Point and Corrosion. And that's all the designs I have for today. A group of babies and bigger babies. What did you think of the video? Comment down below your thoughts on the Pokemon seen here, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Next video will be a bit of a surprise, but I think you'll find it a welcome one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Hey there, Forrest. Goo goo gaga. I want milk.